Hello, Frankie. Easy. Hi everyone, Diane here. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my studio. I hope everybody's well, and yes, it may be good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. So whichever it is for you, I greet you. Right, today is windy, very windy, and I'm going to paint some windy flowers. This here I have just done. This is wet still, so it's not finished. I'm going to do a bigger one like this, and I'm going to put some embellishments on it to embellish it with. So I'm just going to stand that up over there for a tick, and I'll show you what I've got here. I've got some washi tape, and I'm going to use it. I've also got some cold pressed Meaden watercolor paper. You can get this on Amazon, and or you can go to their website and get 15% off if you use Diane 15 in the checkout. So this is a 12 by 9 sheet. You don't need to have such a big one. If you don't want to paint that big, paint this size. This is Academy. This is Bao Hong paper. Same paper exactly, because it came from the same place. The people who send me the Meaden stuff sent me this too. This is cold press as well. This piece is only 7 by 5, and that's just a tester sheet really. I'm just trying it out. I didn't know what to paint today. Hey, that's a surprise, isn't it? So as well as that, I've got my washi tape. I'll use that in a second. And I'm just moving my paper into position. Here I've got a selection of Kuretake paints. This I have had out the other day for another painting, which I did recently, and I'm going to use the same palette again. And so I think we've got alizarin crimson. This I think is probably permanent rose. I've got burnt sienna. I've got a kind of 2 ochre colours. This looks like raw sienna. This looks like I don't know what. And then a greeny blue, and then a dark. This is indigo, I think. So those colours, I know they'll go together because I already did a painting with those. Do you remember I did the squares? Well, today we're going to do circles. We're going to do the same colours, and that's what this is. These are the same colours, only I've used them in a different way. So let's get started with that. My brushes, I've got Princeton here, Princeton Aqua Elite. I am able to choose between the big one and the small one. The small one is here. No, that isn't. That is the Princeton Neptune. I've got 2 of those. That's a size 4, that's a size 8. The Neptune is a good watercolor brush. It's a little bit softer than the Aqua Elite. A little bit softer indeed, and I'm just trying to find the other one. I know it's somewhere. Here it is. I've got a 8 and a 12. So between the 4 of those, that's pretty much a good selection of sizes. You can go the softer ones and the firmer ones. And if you want firmer still, you could go with Drawwell brushes, which are Japanese, and they're the ones that I have arranged for you to get at a very reasonable price. There's a Drawwell one from Mr. Miami in Japan, so you can contact him using the details in the description below. So that's all my brushes for today. There, I'll stick them there. Big pot of water as always. Here I do have a rigger, but I don't think I'm going to be likely to use that today, so I'll stick that back in the stand. Okay, so I pulled out 2 different washi tapes, 2 different colorways, because I thought it's a good idea if you're going to use tape around the outside edge of the paper, which you don't need to do. It just gives it a nice clean edge if you want that. It's a good idea to choose one that's got the right sorts of colors in it, isn't it? So I looked at those 2 and I thought either of those would do. If I use the pink one, I guarantee I'll use a lot more pinks. If I use the green one, I'll probably use more greens. So I don't know, let's use the pink one because everybody loves pink. So we now have our border, and I'm going to start. I shall pick up a brush. I'm going to use a relatively big one. This is a size 12, and I'm just going to more or less at random, whatever I feel drawn towards, I will put on. I'll start in the middle, I think. I'll tell you what else I should do is actually just wipe my palette clean to start with. Doesn't have to be immaculate, but that will do. Okay, so let's take some of this pinky colour. Whoops, pinky colour. I don't know why everything seems to be rattling at the moment. I don't know what's going on. I know what I'll do. This problem the other day, everything was rattling, so we'll solve that problem. I'll put my beer mat underneath and then it won't rattle, will it? No. Okay, so we're going in for this pinky colour here, and I'm going to add a little bit of something else just to change it a bit. Let's put a circle here and then put some red in the middle. And the idea is just to keep it really rough and let it meld, you know. Then I'm going to use the same colours, but just add more water. Then I'll add another colour. And I wonder, when I go over the, I've done the same thing really, haven't I? When I go over the top of it with the different contrasting colour, the idea is I'll use exactly that, a contrasting colour. So I'm going to just lift some of this out because without realising it, I've kind of duplicated myself. So let's get rid of that. And we'll put some of that in. That will probably turn out to be my favourite. Let's have a little bit of blue. That's quite a nice green, but I don't want green yet because I'm going to use green for the background for the leaves and things. So we'll just leave that there. Yeah, I've got some nice greens. I'm actually kind of looking for another colour that I want to add, which would be this colour. Yeah, you need this contrast here. And it's a good idea just to let them touch and run, like that. Picking up this colour has made all the difference. I wasn't feeling very confident about what I was doing, but having picked that up, I feel a little bit better. Needed a bit of yellow. And I think we'll have a bit more brown. It's best not to think too hard. Best not to think too hard, yes, definitely. I'm going to leave some white space around and about because we want to put some leaves behind. And this one wants to be bigger. Use a really light colour, you can make it look as if it's behind a little bit. Something a little bit greyish, perhaps. the green mixed with the pink gives you a kind of greyish colour. Like that. Might want a bit of neutral. Like that. And suppose we put a little bit less, put a bit kind of, you never know, you never know. Let's put a few small ones in here. There we are. Okay, so I've left a fairly big space here. I might just put something a little bit neutral behind. Like that. And then I think possibly the best thing to do at this point is to go to a smaller brush. Let me use, I don't know if this might be too small, but I want to just do some stems, right? So we'll just go into the flower and just pull down a straightish kind of line. And it really doesn't matter what colour you use. The idea is just to kind of link them together a little bit in the background. You don't have to do that. You could just leave it. But you can if you want. Okay, so that was a reasonable choice for the size of that, stem thingy. So I think I'll just dry it. Before I put the leaves in. Okay, let's use a slightly bigger Princeton Neptune. And I want to now put in some leaves first, I think. I'm going to try some indigo with some of this yellowy colour here first. And I don't know whether this brush, I haven't used this brush very much, so I'm going to try it and see. And what I'm doing is pressing down and lifting up. And it gives you a kind of one stroke or almost one stroke leaf. Which is quite nice. You can add, if you want to, you can go in with some more, a darker colour and drop it in at the bottom, and that will spread. A bit more yellow and make a stronger green. That works pretty well. I'm quite impressed with that. That's fine. So I'm putting a yellowy green next to the bluey green. I do feel as if there's less control with this brush because it is softer than the ones I'm used to, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm not criticising the brush. It's just I'm not used to it really, so I'm just kind of adding these green leaves just where I feel they kind of look okay. And then I'll probably try for a grey So I'm mixing the red with the green. Trying for a grey. I think that would be okay. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's okay. If you add a little bit more water to it, it'll be a bit lighter. You can probably hear the rain outside. We have got storm Eowyn. I don't know how you pronounce that. I think it's like something from Lord of the Rings. Oh, Eowyn or something. Anyway, I'm going to use some of this grey as an embellishing colour. So I'm going to come up here and put in some sort of petal-y shapes, which is what turns this simple circle into a flower. And we can put dots in the middle if we want to, like that. And then I can add a little bit more green. So I have a more greenish kind of tone. And maybe I'll come over here and I might do a spiral with lines around the outside. And the cool thing is when you use grey on top of any colour, like this looks like a fossil, doesn't it? In an anemone, not a sea anemone, in an anemone fossil. You get the underneath colour influences the colour on top because watercolour is transparent. So that's what happens. It shows through basically. So I've got a reddish colour here. So I'm going to put some petals in here. And it's not my hand shaking. I'm kind of deliberately letting it happen because this brush being so very soft, you know, that's what happens. So I'm going to pick up a bit of this very, very almost semi-opaque green colour. I'm going to have to clean that one before I go back to it and add some red to it. And that will give me a kind of gunmetal grey, which is very strong. And that is something I might want to use for tiny leaves. Here and there are little kind of dots. Good. And I think I'll go with that colour into this one. I think it's going to be quite exciting. Just using the point, the tip of that brush. Okay, and then we will attempt put some leaves on the ends of them. Okay, and then maybe some little dots here and there. And if I don't feel that those are tidy enough, I can always come back with a pen and just put some extra lines in there. And now I've still got this dark colour on my brush. I can use some of that to put veins into some of my grey or dark green leaves, the ones that have dried. This one can have some circles in it. Okay, let's go a bit green. try not to put my hand on it. Move that out of the way. I have got this. This is my drying off thing. So I'm going to just turn this round. What was I going to do? What do I got? I've got sort of greeny grey. Okay, so let's put some. Something like that. And let's pick up a bit of red. And we get a mauve. And we can do. So we're just trying to think of everything we can think of that we have used in the way of embellishments. This is where you really have to go with the flow and let the brush determine what you're doing, really. This one is greenish, so I think we could probably use some green down here, couldn't we? Okay. And then a pinkish colour perhaps for the centre of this one. Let's go bold centre like that. And then I'm thinking at this point, what I want is pink. Yeah, I'm going to do some pink on there. It's kind of lilac-y pink. It's from the Art Nouveau set. This is a kind of stylized rose. See what I mean? Hadn't really thought about that until right now. So maybe we'll do something like that here too. Yeah, they're forecasting winds of up to 130 miles an hour in Ireland today. That's horrendous. But apparently we're only going to get 70 miles an hour, which is a relief. So I put some burnt sienna there and then dropped in some darker stuff around the outside edge so that that can blend. I might do the same on this one, something similar. Perhaps I'll put in some red. And then perhaps I'll put some indigo around it, perhaps. I'm not sure how that's going to look. You never really know how things are going to go, but you can always add a bit of water into it and see if that improves things. And the other thing you can do, of course, is you can just bring it out like that, which is quite nice. And let's have a little bit of pinky grey on the outside. They look kind of a little bit space agey, don't they? And I'm going to put some leaves on these circles here because I've got these ones here. So you should never do something only once. Okay. And as I'm going along with this brush, I'm liking it more because it has a bit of a life of its own. So that's quite nice. Yeah, that's quite nice. So I think we're getting somewhere. Now at this point, I might go so far as to remove my washi tape in its various pieces so that I can see. You see how I said, didn't I, if I use the pink washi tape, the painting will turn out pinker than it would do if I used the green. So I think, therefore, I want to put some small details in, and I'm just trying to think what to do. So let's mix some quite strong green, maybe, and do some, let's see how that's going to go. This is a, what is this? This is a drawbar. Yeah, that's better, the red. Definitely needs a little bit of red. Or purple. Well, this has been fun. I've enjoyed doing this. I think I'm coming towards the end of it. It's just a bit of fun. And every now and again you'll do something like this and it will turn out really well, so that you want to actually keep it, frame it, or put it in a book somewhere. I make photocopies of all the paintings that I do, and I put them in a ring binder so that I've got them handy to refer back to. But you could put the actual paintings in if you wanted to. You could put a few sort of thin lines in as well if you wanted to join these little ones, for example, together. Maybe these ones. And of course, we could use pen or acrylic markers or something like that. If we wanted to, we could come in with one of these pens. This is an Artex acrylic marker, and I quite like this idea of putting a few dots in. You can put them in the spaces like that, or you could put them in or around your actual design. That could be quite interesting. I don't want to do too much though, because it probably would be a bit too much. I like this bit here where that's gone all kind of whooshy. like that. That's quite nice. You could pick up a, I tell you what, to give more definition to some of them. You can, if you wanted to, you could play with a brush pen or something and make these into better shapes, because they were a bit tricky with that particular brush. But you don't need to. I mean, you don't need to. You could match the colour exactly if you spend a bit more time, but that's fine. I think we'll leave it like that. So there we are. That is today's effort at a little bit of relaxation. I tell you what, that needs a bit of white. That needs a bit of white, so I'm going to put some white in there. That's better. And maybe a couple in there too, because you should never do things in one place only. And yeah, you could carry on with that, and you could do quite a bit more. You could put a lot more white lines in on the darker leaves that you put in, and so on and so forth. You could take a liner, you know, what do you call it, a fine liner, or you could even grab a pencil and do some, you know, embellishments with pencil as well. That's another thing that you could do. I'm not going to spoil that one, but you could do that too. You could draw in the veins on the flowers, on the leaves rather. It's a matter with my words today, with a pencil. So that's another thing you could do if you wanted to. Otherwise, you could say, I think it's time for a cup of tea, and you could stop. And that's what I'm going to do now. So I'll let you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to check our website for various and assorted things, and look in the description below if you want to find out about any of these things. And I'll say goodbye for now. Yes, see you again soon, everybody, probably tomorrow. Bye for now. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.